thing. The crystal ray just let high school spectate.
Many y'all, we still riding on home. We still putting on the finger. I put up at the club, VIP, gas tank, on people on drinks, so please wipe it out. Fresh kids, fresh white, tall teeth, fresh NFL head, fresh rolls with the grease, wipe it out. Bro, they hit me with the hit, real, recognize, real, don't speak, wipe it out. Chicken legs, not the bottle, you can tell I got cake by the diamonds in my teeth.
We are the steppers of CRJ. Get hype, get hype. We are the steppers of CRJ. Get hype, get hype. We are the steppers of CRJ. Get hype, get hype. Smooth. We are who we are. If you don't like it, you can stare. We are CRJ. We came to kill the show, cause we're CRJ. High school, better in the West. There's no competition, cause we are the best. Ah! CRJ! We be killing it. There's no way you can't be feeling it. You can't sound like us. You can't imitate us. You can't be like us. We step so hard we can't be stopped. Watch us work.
Yes.
Put it down, put it down. Put it down. Put your leg down. Fix my line. I'm not gonna keep playing with y'all. Move down. Move. Come down with some more. Y'all better stop playing. If y'all gonna do it right.
All right.
Hold it!
Get your leg up.
C R J Step team.
Kumala Vista. No, 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 not the Vista. Eeny, meeny, that's a meeny, ooh, wah, wah, la, meeny. As a meeny, do, la, meeny, ooh, wah, la, wah. Whoa, whoa, the squad out, the wad out, and chow. Beat belly out and bobo, but didn't that. Beat belly out and bobo, but didn't that. Now, the Kinderman would do it this way. Everybody, let's get the beat. Get the beat. Come on, get the beat. Everybody, get the beat. I have a question for you. Are you ready? Yeah. Oh, come on, you don't sound like you're ready. Are you ready? Yeah. Almost. Are you ready? Yeah. Repeat after me. Flee. Flee, fly. Flee, fly, flow. Vista. Kumala, 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 vista. No, 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 not the vista. No, not the vista. Eeny, meeny, that's a meeny, ooh, wah, wah, la, meeny. Eeny, meeny, that's a meeny, ooh, wah, wah, meeny. As a meeny, oh, la, meeny, ooh, wah, la, wah. As a meeny, oh, la, meeny, ooh, wah, la, wah. Whoa, the squad out, a wad out, chow. Out and bobo, but didn't that. Beat belly out and bobo, but didn't that. Give yourself a big hand there, yeah! And now I have a special surprise for you. We're going to let some people in the audience do this song. Let's say I need a volunteer. And by the way, you get a prize for being a volunteer to help with the show. I have these books. Calculator Magic Made Easy. Kinderman said, you need a book, John. So he inspired me to write a book to help children learn math. I'm going to give away a free copy of that book to a child here today, and I have a hard time picking out a child because I need a volunteer. I have a hard time picking out okay, volunteer, give her a nice hand there, yeah? And what is your name? Jolie. Zoe. Everybody say hi, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
All right, Zoe's going to help us out here. Zoe. That just like that. Wow, Zoe, you got really good time. Okay. All right, Zoe, put that right there like that. Okay, Zoe. All right, can everybody hear Zoe? Yes. All right, go ahead, Zoe.
What should I say?
All right, Zoe, repeat after me. Say flee.
Flee.
Flee, fly.
Flee, fly.
Flee, fly, flow.
Flee, fly, flow.
Vista.
Vista.
Kumala, 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 vista.
Kumala, 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 vista.
Give her a nice hand! And Zoe, I have a gift for you. Zoe, I want you to have a copy of the book. It's all yours. It's got tricks and games in it that the boys and girls can play. Tricks and games that the boys and girls can play. Zoe, this is all yours. I want you to have this. And let's give her a nice hand there. Yeah! All right. Now, this time we're going to do it with energy. We have a camera here. Lights, camera, action. All right, boys, girls. They got to get ready for the cameras. All right, girls, come on. Get your hair ready. Come on, get your hair ready. All right, makeup. Okay, girls, deodorant. All right, boys, you got to be on camera. Okay, all right, okay, all the men. All right, men. All right, I gotta get ready here. All right, sir, comb your hair. Okay, all right, comb your beard. Comb your beard. Okay. All right, sir, right here. Come on. Makeup. Okay. All right, deodorant. Okay, more deodorant. More. Okay, we're ready. All right, this time we're gonna do it with energy, and we're gonna be on camera. We're getting ready to go live. Lights, camera, action. Get the beat. Are you ready? Come on. Are you ready? Yeah. One more time. Are you ready? Yeah. Flee. Flee, fly. Flee, fly, flow. Vista. Kumala, and Bobo, but didn't doubt. Beat belly out and Bobo, but didn't doubt. Give yourselves a big hand there, yay! John Kinderman Taylor went on to be at the Ancestors last year, but Mr. Taylor left us some legacy. Number one, he won several Emmys, television Oscars, for being so great on television with the Kinderman Show. And big hand for our memory of John Kinderman Taylor. John Kinderman Taylor has performed in all 50 states except for one, Alaska. He never performed in Alaska, and he always regretted that. In our conversations, he always mentioned all the states he touched. Alaska was the one he never performed in. And, of course, there is legacy. He is a griot, and griots believe that storytelling is an educational tool. Everybody say storytelling. Educational tool. An old man traveling a lone highway came at evening, cold and gray, to a chasm deep and wide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim, but a sullen stream held no fear for him. But he turned when he reached the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. "Old man," cried a pilgrim stranger near, "you're wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You will never again pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build a bridge at eventide?" The builder raised his old gray head. "Good friend, on the path I've come," he said, "there followeth after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This stream, which was not to me, to that fair-haired lad may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I'm building this bridge for him." Big hand for the memory of John Kinderman Taylor. Amen. How many boys and girls like to go to McDonald's and play on the swings? McDonald's doesn't have swings. I don't know where they go in North Baltimore, but it can't be McDonald's. All right, guess what this is? Blue, 38. Hike the football, hike the football. Okay. What am I playing? Bowling. Okay. What's that? Soccer. Very good. Basketball. All right, have you ever seen a flower bloom? Ever seen a flower bloom?
Yeah.
Just for everybody here, on the count of three. Everybody say, "Thank you, John Kinderman Taylor." 1, 2, 3. Thank you, John Kinderman Taylor. Thank you. How many? Who has two? You have two right there? How many? 6. Very good. The Olympics. Who remembers what team won the World Cup in soccer? What team won the World Cup in soccer? USA Women. You're right. Let me give you a book. Yeah. You are so smart. You must study real hard in school.
Yeah.
Watch a lot of TV too. How much is 3 plus 3?
6.
Very good. Boy, you're smart. Hup. Hup. Later on, we're going to get Gordon Parks to teach everybody that dance, the macaroni. Gordon likes macaroni. He be yelling, "Hey, macaroni!" How much is 3? Take away 1. 2. Very good. All right, who has one? You have a ring right there? You have a ring. All right, take that ring, and before I get any closer, examine the edge of that ring very carefully. Examine the edge very carefully. And before I get any closer, can you find the hole? All right, hold it up in the air. Sometimes you hold it up in the air, you'll be able to see the hole right about there. In Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? She still don't see it. Always set up front in school, okay? Let me get you a book. That's all yours. Thank you for helping. On the count of three, everybody say, learn to read, read to learn. 1, 2, 3.
Learn to read, read to learn.
Yeah, yeah. All right, you have a ring right there. All right, take it off your neck. All right, show her where the hole is. Show her where the hole is. See how you can learn from others? Give her a nice hand there, yeah. All right, come on over here, come on over here. All right, hold it up with 2 hands, nice and high, just like that. Turn the edge to me. Everybody, on the count of 3. Everybody say, readers or leaders? 1, 2, 3.
Readers or leaders.
Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna get you a book. Whoop. Give yourselves a big hand. Nice hand for the memory of John Kinderman Taylor.
To cry, you gotta be bold, you gotta be buff, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Heard what your mother said, read the books your father read, try and solve the puzzle in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you, others take a different view. My, hey, hey. You gotta be glad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Time asks no questions, it just goes on without you, leaving you behind if you don't keep the pace. The world keeps on spinning, it can't stop if it tries to. The part of danger staring you right in your face. Go. I say, listen as your day unfolds. A challenge what the future holds. Try and keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you fears. Go ahead, release your tears. My, oh my, hey, hey, hey. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Gotta be bold, you gotta be hard, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be tough, you gotta be smart, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Love will save the day. Love will save the day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love will save the day. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you. And welcome to the Voices of History Street Fair at the beautiful 35-year-old National Great Blacks in Wax Museum, founded by Drs. Elma and Joanne Martin, for the preservation of African and African American history in the neighborhood in which we live. Today we have something exciting for you.
we have the Growing Griot's Literacy Learning Program students who will present for you living biographies of famous African and African American heroes and sheroes whose statues you will see in the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum. Me, I am Janice Curtis Green with an E on the end, former president of the Griot Circle of Maryland and current president of the National Association of Black Storytellers. So without further ado, I'd like to bring our first growing griot, and you will know who he is by what he tells you. Philip, will you begin? No, you just do it straight. It's already on.
I am Jocko Graves. In 1764, I, Jocko Graves, was born in the American colonies. I, like my father, Tom Graves, was not free. We were enslaved Africans, wanting our freedom too. My father gathered other enslaved men to fight in the General Army during the American Revolutionary War, and I was among them. As General Washington prepared to cross the Delaware River to battle the British Army, my father and the men he gathered were at his side. I wanted to fight too, but General Washington said I was too young. Instead, he assigned me the task of watching the officers' horses and keeping the lantern burning. It was extremely cold in December 1776 when General Washington crossed the ice-choked Delaware River. The crossing was made worse by an arrival of a strong storm that brought freezing rain, snow, and terrifying winds. I, Jocko Graves, maintained my post. I watched the officers' horses, and I kept the lantern burning. I was still on post when General Washington and his men returned, but I was dead, with the lantern still burning in my clenched, frozen hands. As history records, General Washington was so moved by Jocko's dedicated service that he commissioned the statue of the young African boy. The statue was used as a lawn ornament, and it was found on plantations all over the South. The lawn jockey, as it was called, was used to signal Underground Railroad station stops. If an American flag was in the hand of the statue, runaway slaves can safely stop at that home. If a red ribbon was tied to the arm of the statue, danger abounds. The statue was also used as a hitching post, which was very useful at the times of horse and carriages. I am Jocko Graves. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Winnie Mandela. I was born September 26, 1936 in South Africa. I am the fifth child of 9. In 1953, I received a diploma in Jan Hofmeyrs at Johannesburg. After my diploma, I became the first black social worker in Bergwith Hospital in Soweto. After I was arrested and detained as a political prisoner. I am also one of South Africa's most visible and apartheid foes. I spent many years as a banned person in my own country. I was not allowed to address public gatherings or meet with more than one person at a time. In 1957, I met the love of my life, Nelson Mandela. A few years later, I had my first child with Nelson Mandela named Zanini. 1 year later, I had my second child with Nelson Mandela named Zindiwa. After Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life in prison, I ignored my ban and I visited my husband. As a result, I was sentenced to 1 month in jail. I was then found guilty under the Suppression of Communism Act. I was kept under various charges until September 1975. After, Nelson Mandela was released 27 years later, but we divorced. I was then elected to become the executive of the African National Congress. My house was then, in 1977, my house was then bombed twice, and I was arrested for restriction from defying my restriction orders. Thank you, and I'm Winnie Mandela.
I am Frederick Douglass. I was born in a small plantation with my grandmother, and for the first 9 years I lived with her. As I grew older, I was sent to live with slave owner Hugh Auld. There, Hugh Ald's wife found an interest in me and decided to teach me to read. But Hugh Ald came to the conclusion that if I became literate, I would have no value as a slave. I knew that education is the only way I can be truly free. But I didn't let that stop me. I was way too dedicated to learn. I would trick other little kids into teaching me small little words so that way I can learn them myself. As I grew older, Hugh Ald wanted to put me to work, and he sent me to live with a slave owner, Edward Convey. There, he showed no mercy on me or the slaves. And one day I was sick and tired of it, and I fought him back, and he never put his hands on me again. After that, I tried to escape several times, and I failed each one of them. But eventually, with the help of a friend of mine, he gave me his free papers, and I disguised myself as a sailor, and I finally escaped. I even wrote my own autobiography called The Life and Narrative of Frederick Douglass in 1845. I became more and more fond of the abolitionist movement and spoke all over the North about the abolitionist movement. I even published and edited my own newspaper known as the North Star. I also helped recruit men for the Civil War alongside Abraham Lincoln. I am Frederick Douglass.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shirley Chisholm. I was born on November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. Both my parents were immigrants, and when I was 3 years old, I went to live with my grandmother, Ruby, in Barbados. You see, at the time, things were not so good for Black people, and my parents wanted me to receive a good education. In 1934, I returned to my parents in New York and attended New York public schools, and was able to compete fairly well in a mainly white classroom. This was around the time of the Great Depression, and many Americans were unemployed and had very little to eat. As a good student, I won tuition scholarships to several very distinguished colleges, but was unable to afford the room and board. At the urging of my parents, I decided to live at home and attend Brooklyn College. While I was in college to obtain my master's degree in elementary education, I worked as a nursery school teacher and in a child care center. I believed I could improve society by helping children, and I became known as an expert in children and early education, and I was an education official in the daycare division of the city's Office of Child Welfare, though I was removed from the board of directors for speaking against the white leaders. In 1948, I married my first husband, Conrad O. Chisholm, and we lived in Brooklyn. During this period, I developed an interest in politics, but I had also developed a deep resentment towards the roles of women in local politics, which meant staying in the background and playing a secondary role to their male equals. Through my work with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP, I found a way to voice my thoughts and opinions on the daily roles of women, African Americans, and the poor. In 1968, I was elected to the U.S. Congress and defeated Republican candidate James Farmer. My campaign slogan was "Unbought and Unbossed." I later wrote a book of the same title to share my experiences in politics. In 1971, I co-founded the Congressional Black Caucus, and we worked towards resolving issues relevant to Black people and achieving their equality in the country. And in 1972, I ran for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination to contest for presidency. Although I did not win, I managed to get 152 delegates and won the primaries in 3 states. I did not win the primaries or the nominations. I said I did not run for president because I expected to win. I ran to make a point. While during my run for president, I was shot at, received death threats, and denied access to debates. But I didn't let that stop me. In 1982, I retired from Congress and resumed my teaching career. I wanted to spend more time with my second husband, Arthur Hardwick. In 1987, I retired from teaching altogether. Since then, I have co-founded the Congressional Black Women's Caucus and helped in the presidential campaigns of Jesse Jackson. I wanted to do more, but my health has prevented me from doing so. Although I am a trailblazer as New York's first Black Congresswoman and the first Black presidential candidate, I'd rather be remembered as someone who, throughout her life, continued to work for the rights and equality of African Americans. My name is Shirley Chisholm. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Nelson Mandela. I was born in 1918 in a village of South Africa. I was an apartheid activist. Apartheid was a system of government law policy which has several discrimination against black. I spent 27 years in prison because of apartheid. In 1994, I became the first black president of South Africa. As a president, I preside over minority rules and apartheid. It always seemed impossible, but I never lose or either win. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. My name is Nelson Mandela. Thank you for your time.
My name is Thurgood Marshall. I was born July 2nd, 1908 in Baltimore, Maryland. I attended Frederick Douglass High School. I attended Lincoln University. I also attended Howard University and studied law. I took 32 cases to the Supreme Court and 129. In 1954, I won the Brown versus Board of Education case. In 1967, President John F. Kennedy appointed me to the Supreme Court. I am Thurgood Marshall.
My name is Makita, but many people know me as the Queen of Sheba. I was born 1020 BC. My mother was a queen, and my father and grandfather were kings. They are the last rulers of a dynasty which lasted for 350 years. When I was 15 years old, my father passed away, so I became the Queen of Ethiopia, and I ruled for 40 years. I heard other stories about another wise and rich person, so I decided to make a royal visit to Israel to meet King Solomon. I traveled with many attendants who wore beautiful clothing. I traveled with the caravan. I traveled with camels and mules too many to even count. The animals carried gold, ivory, and spices all from my country. When I arrived, King Solomon was very surprised. Besides being his equal, I also gave him many other gifts. Later, I started testing him with questions, and he passed. During my visit, I became one of King Solomon's wives, so he took me throughout his kingdom and held many celebrations in my honor. A few years later, I learned that I was pregnant, so I decided to return to my country before I had my child. But King Solomon did not want that, but he was wise, so he knew it was important to me. Before I left, King Solomon gave me a gold ring and said, "When you have your child, give this gold ring to him and bring him to me." A few years later, after I returned back to my country, I gave birth to my son, and his royal name was Menelik. When Menelik was 22 years old, he decided to go to Israel to meet his father, and he wore the gold ring so his father could recognize him. But Menelik did not need the ring because everybody already knew who he was. By that time, King Solomon was an old man, so he wanted Menelik to stay with him and watch over him. But Menelik promised me he would return. The royal family was founded by me and King Solomon. I am declared the most richest and most beautiful queens in African history. And remember, the real reason for my visit was because I love wisdom and I wanted to exchange wisdom with King Solomon. Thank you. I am Akita, the Queen of Sheba.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Walter Francis White. I was born on July 1st in 1893. Many years later, I attended Clark Atlanta University. A year later, I attended Atlanta University for my master's degree. I graduated from there in 1916. 2 years later, I helped establish the Atlanta branch for the NAACP, which stands for National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Because of my good works, I received a job invitation from James Weldon Johnson the NAACP Executive Secretary. I went there to work as his assistant secretary. But also, as working as his assistant secretary, I was also a journalist. As a journalist, I recorded and did leads on lynching. I discovered race riots and lynchings. The job was dangerous, but because I could pass for white with my white skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair, I did it. I also been a journalist. I wrote books and novels. Years later, in 1931, I became the executive secretary for the NAACP. While doing that, I helped slow down poll taxes and other discrimination against segregation. In 1954, my reign as NAACP executive secretary came to an end. I am Walter White.
Hello, my name is Colin Powell. I was born April 5th, 1937 in Harlem, New York, and I was raised in the South Bronx, in a mixed neighborhood and under the watchful eyes of my aunties. In school, I was the kind of kid who didn't care at all about his assignments and would rather play kickball or catch with my friends. Though this attitude disappeared as soon as I got to the City College of New York and joined the ROTC. Now, do any of you know what that stands for? Tough crowd here. Well, our ROTC stands for the Reserve Officers Training Corps. I had to work harder and faster to keep my spot in the program, and upon graduation, I was made a second lieutenant, an officer position beneath all of our officers in the U.S. Army. I served 2 terms in Vietnam. One from 1962 through 1963, and again from 1968 through 1969. It was worse than you could possibly imagine. Bombs falling left and right, soldiers bleeding on the ground with no one there to help them. I'm lucky to be standing here right now. Though, when I returned, things were looking up for me because I received 2 Purple Hearts and a soldier's medal for pulling my comrades out of a burning helicopter. After my return from Vietnam, I obtained a master's degree in business administration from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I also held positions in the Pentagon, the headquarters for the U.S. Department of Military Defense and Services. I also held positions in the Department of Energy, having a reputation for a strong moral character. I was asked to advise a secret sale of weapons to Iran. In 1989, I was appointed to the position as chairman of a Joint Chief of Staff, the group that is responsible for giving military information and advice to the President and the Secretary of Defense. These days, you can find me working in my America's Promise program. I believe that children need to get a good education, avoid the criminal justice system, and find jobs, but they deserve so much more than that. We want them to learn not only reading and math, but civic duty, family commitment, and respect. My name is Colin Powell, and I thank you for your time today. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Reginald F. Lewis, and I was born on December 7th, 1942, here in Baltimore. I'm what you may call a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business at the age of 10, a newspaper business, and even had some of my friends working with me. Not long after I started my business, I decided I wanted to learn more about business, so I asked my grandmother if she could take care of my business while I went to summer camp. She agreed, so off I went to summer camp. When I returned from summer camp, I asked my grandmother if I could pick up the earnings from my business, and she replied with, "Well, I did take care of your business, but I thought I was working for cash, so I took in the earnings for myself." Note for everybody in the audience, whenever you're making a business deal, make sure you write a contract, because even if you're dealing with a really nice person or a really mean person, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get your money's worth. So just remember that whenever you're making a business deal, even if it's a small one. Now I'll talk to you about my education. In Dunbar High School, I was a star quarterback on the football team. I made it into Virginia State University on a football scholarship, had to make some changes to my career plan when I got a shoulder injury while playing football. Within 2 years of my graduation, I started my own law firm on Wall Street, helping small minority-owned businesses secure money using venture capital firms. My first few $1 million deals were not successful, but I kept going and didn't give up. My first successful $1 million deal was for the McCall Pattern Corporation for $22.5 million. My most significant deal was for Beatrice Foods International for $985 million. But I'm not all work. I enjoy spending time with my wife, 2 daughters, and grandchildren. I am driven because I want somebody to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up. My name is Reginald F. Lewis. Thank you.
Would all of our growing griots come back in, please? Come on back in. They're all over the place. Come on. For a group picture, These young people have survived the 25-week, give Mr. Stark the balloon, please, Philip. Mr. Stark is standing right there. Give him the balloon. These young people survived the 25-week course of the growing. Take that out of your mouth, please, Rodney. Yeah, they may not survive today, but they survived the 25-week course of the Growing Griot's Literacy Learning Program. Let the smaller ones get in the front. Come on. And in that course, they learned their Kwanzaa quotes and principles, and they learned living biographies. They also learned how to make a family tree and perform research. Yes, they've been snacking in the back. They worked up an appetite. And so I'm just going to let them pass the microphone around to each one of them. And they're going to get back on the mark. Yes, because we're listening to, we have to follow the direction of the reads who are live streaming right now. And I want you to pass the microphone and just say your real name and how old you are. Yes.
My name is Alex Reed, and I am 10 years old. My name is Xavier Reed, and I am 13 years old.
My name is Aisha Sidibe, and I'm 11 years old.
My name is Naomi Reed, and I'm 11 years old.
My name is J.Rod Anderson, and I'm 11 years old.
My name is Rodney Anderson, and I'm 13 years old.
My name is Mariam Willett, and I'm 12 years old.
My name is Alexander Songby, and I'm 14 years old.
My name is Donald Meredith, and I'm also 14 years old.
My name is Philip Harrison, and I am 9 years old.
The Growing Griot's Literacy Learning Program is the youth program for the Griot Circle of Maryland, who was founded by esteemed ancestor Mother Mary Carter Smith. And the young people were her main concern. She always loved the youth. Mother Mary Carter Smith is also the co-founder of the National Association of Black Storytellers. Now, if I could ask the mentors for the Growing Griot's Literacy Learning Program to take a place, come on, tighten up, young people. Behind our young people, we're going to take a group picture, and the young people up front are going to hold this banner with Mother Mary Carter Smith's image, and tighten up. Like Archie Bell and the Drells, that maybe before some of your time, with a tighten up. No, y'all don't remember that. I'm trying to say how old I am. Come on. From Houston, Texas, we don't always sing a lot, but we can dance just as good as we want. Y'all have to remember to tighten up, you know. This is our group shot. Oh. Thank you. The mentors, too, have survived 25 weeks over this course. The course is free. If you know of any young people, church, schools, libraries, just get a form. There's some on the table. I think the table is still out there. Or see Mr. Butler. Jada Anderson, why are you not in this picture? It just dawned on me that you're not in this picture. She's one of our growing Griot graduates who is now a senior in high school, workshop presenter. She has won a youth award for the National Association of Black Storytellers for her work. She's a youth mentor and has been very faithful to our program. And she whips her two younger brothers into shape, or they, whip her into shape. We don't know which. The Reeds are the people who are live streaming are the parents of Alexandra, Xavier, and Naomi Reed. Raise your hands. Okay, a family dynasty. And Michael, my brain this has been a long day. Philip Harrison, his mother, and little sister right here. Cousin, okay, raise your hand, mama. They are very faithful. They come and they stay for the program. Oh, okay, be all right? Please get an application. It is free for middle and high school students. We meet every Saturday. We meet on the second through the fourth or fifth Saturday of the month at the Enoch Pratt Free Library, Orleans Street branch from 11 until 2. Lunches are served. They are free also. These young people learn how to conduct an oral history interview where they interviewed their elders. One of our elders was one of our instructors, Mr. William Stark, and the other was Mr. Loris Winston, former high school principal. And they get to ask them questions about what it was like growing up Black, African American, colored, Negro, and all those other names we have been called. So I appreciate your being here as an audience. Please give these young people some love. I'm going to put the microphone, I'm going to lower the microphone, and we're going to get a group shot here. Take your hands out of your pockets, J-Rod. Thank you, Reeds. I expect a copy of this picture. Everybody wants a copy. And we thank you so much for listening to our young people today. Thank you. Would all the mentors of the Growing Griot please come forward? Literacy Learning Program. Just come forward. Don't get nervous. I might make you see it. Just get up here. I'm not going to make you sing and dance. Mr. Stark, come on up here. The enunciator. The enunciator. Mr. Gordon Parks, who does a workshop on voice for us. And they are all members of the Griot Circle of Maryland, founded by Mother Mary Carter Smith, and the National Association of Black Storytellers, co-founded by Mother Mary Carter Smith. And we have one of our best and biggest supporters who is here, and that's Mama Victoria Smith. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Our elder. Come on. Come on up here, Mama Vicky. People, we can't get along without Mama Vicky, who is a world traveler, who tells the children stories about her trips to Africa and her work. Come on, Van, you need to be up here too with all the mentors. This is our technician. And she was a good friend of Mother Mary Carter Smith. And this wonderful woman, one year, the children wanted to go to the National Association of Black Storytellers Festival and Conference, and she gave up her money to go. We did not know this at the time, or else we wouldn't have let her do it, or we would have made sure something else. But she donated money so that the youth could go to the national conference. She donated to the lunch program, and the which meant that she took the money that she had set aside to go to the festival and conference. And she has since donated, she's a firm believer in smelling your roses while you're still alive. And so she has bequeathed in advance. She's given us extra money, and she's always donating. And I want her to say a few words, and we'll close with a remark from our esteemed elder. Oh, there's also somebody here you need to just to stand up. This is Sister Marcia Hall. Yes. Sister Marcia Hall is an Oblate Sister of Providence, a member of the first vowed permanent order of vowed Catholic religious women of African descent anywhere in the world. And on Tuesday, July the 2nd, come on up here. On Tuesday, July the 2nd, there'll be more people up here than down there in a minute. The Oblate Sisters of Providence celebrated 190 years of existence. They were founded on July the 2nd, 1829. And Sister Hall and Marcia and I are very good friends, and she is, you're still working with vocations? Formation? Okay, vocations, all right. And so there's only one other person left to be in this big picture, and that's Dr. Martin. You need to be in that group picture, come on. Supporter, believer, we believe in her mission, she believes in ours. And I want to close with a blessing from our elder, Victoria Smith. Come on. You close us with your blessing. Bless us.
This little old lady is 88 years old, almost 88 and a half. And I want to say that this young woman, maybe before she was born, the Oblate Sisters were chosen to go to Michigan to teach in Detroit because they were the only ones that they felt that the people in Detroit could believe in and learn from, and that was the Oblate Sisters. I remember them from when I was growing up in Baltimore. Now, to all of you who have come today, I just want to thank you for coming out. It's a hot day, but it was a wonderful day because we were able to come here and hear these wonderful young people, and I think to myself, we have hope when I see them. And I want to just wrap this up by saying, when people ask me now, well, do you have anything to say for people who are older? I had lots of things to say, more than I need to have. But the one thing I'm bringing it down to is learn how to get along with people and to love everyone. When you hate, it pulls you up. When you love, it opens you up. So your blood vessels will be stronger and you may live long.
That's it. I can't add a thing. If you want to stay, we have members of the Griot Circle who might do some storytelling. Maybe we can talk Gordon into doing some storytelling. And thanks Sister Marcia for being here, and I thank everybody for coming out and supporting the Growing Griots. Oh, Mr. Butler, he always want to have the last word. Here you go.
And I have the last word because I'm pretty and black. That's right. And all I wanted to say is you could go to one of the tables and you can get flyers about our program so that you can share them with friends and family and students that may want to take part in our program. It is an absolute blessing. The mentors that you see here, they get paid nothing. Oh, I'm a lie. Mama Deborah taught me this. I get paid by what y'all see here, right? For 25 weeks on Saturdays, all right? And when they come in, the first thing we let them know is we love y'all. You belong to us.
It's my favorite word, free, not on sale, free. And they get lunch, they get love, and they learn. So that lunch, love, and learn. You can't beat that for free. We start in October for middle and high school students, and you get 75 learning service hours toward your graduation requirement. So you cannot beat that. And sometimes, like Donald, you get a job, you know? So, I mean, you cannot beat that. So if you know of any young people who need to learn more about who they are and whose they are, please, 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 take an application, hand it out at your churches, schools, PTAs, and we'll be glad to have them. We meet at the Orleans branch of the Enoch Pratt Free Library on Saturday, starting the second Saturday in October. But get the application into us, and we'll make sure somebody gets in touch with you and tells you all about it. Thank you. Have a blessed day.